The cafeteria on Station Hanseong was quiet that afternoon. Most of the lunch crowd had left, and only a few humans sat at tables, finishing their meals. The smell of grilled meat and fresh rice filled the air. Chef Jinwoo stood behind the counter, wiping down the serving area. He hummed a soft tune while he worked. Jinwoo was a tall man with kind eyes and strong hands from years of cooking. He had been running this cafeteria for 3 years now, ever since the station opened to alien visitors. He had served many different species. Some liked their food cold, some liked it burning hot. Some ate things that looked like rocks, and others preferred what looked like colored foam. Jinwoo learned to cook for all of them. The door to the cafeteria slid open with a soft hiss. Jinwoo looked up, expecting to see another human worker or maybe one of the friendly Quilvan traders. Instead, 3 small figures stumbled inside. They were children, but not human children. Jinwoo's breath caught in his throat. He recognized them immediately. They were Velkari cubs. The Velkari were one of the most feared species in the galaxy. They were tall, powerful predators with sharp claws and teeth designed for hunting. Their fur was thick and dark, covering bodies built for speed and strength. Adults stood nearly 8 feet tall. They had hunting traditions that went back thousands of years, and humans were on their list of prey species. But these were not adults. These were cubs, probably no older than 6 or 7 in human years. They were small, barely reaching Jinwoo's waist. Their fur was fluffy and lighter in color than adult Velkari. Their eyes were wide and frightened. The 3 cubs huddled together near the door. They looked around the cafeteria with nervous movements. Their ears pressed flat against their heads, a sign of fear. One of them, the smallest, was shaking. Jinwoo noticed something else. These cubs were lost. He had seen enough scared children in his life to recognize the signs. It didn't matter if they had fur and claws. Fear looked the same on every face. The cubs were making small whimpering sounds, like puppies separated from their mother. Most humans would have been terrified. The entire station had security protocols about Velkari. Humans were supposed to keep distance. There were safety rules and emergency buttons. The Velkari were predators and humans were prey. That was the natural order. But Jinwoo had never been good at following what was natural or expected. He looked at the 3 small cubs, saw their frightened faces, and felt his heart soften. These were just babies, lost, scared babies. Jinwoo stepped out from behind the counter. He moved slowly, keeping his movements gentle. He had learned that lesson from cooking for aliens. Fast movements scared people. Loud noises made them nervous. "Hey there," Jinwoo said softly. He kept his voice calm and warm, the same voice he used when his nieces and nephews visited. The 3 cubs jumped at his voice. They pressed closer together, their small claws scraping against the floor. The largest one, a cub with a notched ear, stepped in front of the other 2. It was trying to be brave, trying to protect its friends. Jinwoo's heart melted a little more. He crouched down, making himself smaller. Now he was at their eye level. He smiled, showing no teeth. He had learned that showing teeth to predator species looked like a threat. "It's okay," Jinwoo said gently. "You're safe here. Are you lost?" The cubs stared at him. Their translator devices were small bands around their necks. The devices clicked softly, translating Jinwoo's words into their language. The cub with the notched ear tilted its head. It seemed confused. Maybe it had expected the human to run away screaming. Maybe it had expected fear. Jinwoo slowly reached into his apron pocket. The cubs tensed, ready to run, but Jinwoo only pulled out 3 pieces of honey candy. He always kept candy in his pocket for the human children who visited with their parents. "Are you hungry?" Jinwoo asked. He held out the candy on his open palm. The cubs stared at the candy. Then they looked at each other, then back at Jinwoo. The smallest cub, the one who had been shaking, took a tiny step forward. Its nose twitched, sniffing the air. It could smell the sweetness of the honey. "Go ahead," Jinwoo encouraged. "It's good. Sweet." The small cub moved closer. It stretched out one small paw and carefully took a piece of candy. It sniffed the candy again, then popped it into its mouth. The cub's eyes went wide. Its ears perked up. A moment later, it made a happy chirping sound. That was all the encouragement the other two needed. They rushed forward and grabbed the remaining pieces of candy. Soon, all three cubs were chirping happily, their fear forgotten for a moment. Jinwoo chuckled. "Good. Right?" The cubs looked up at him with new eyes. Not scared anymore, just curious. "Are you hungry for real food?" Jinwoo asked. "I have lots of food. Good food." The cubs looked at each other again. They seemed to be having a silent conversation. Finally, all three nodded. Jinwoo stood up slowly. "Come on. Come to the counter. Let me make you something special." He walked back to the counter, and the three cubs followed him like ducklings following their mother. Jinwoo noticed the other humans in the cafeteria were staring, their mouths open in shock. One woman had her hand on her emergency alert button. Jinwoo gave them a calm smile and a small shake of his head. Everything was fine. He went into the kitchen area, and the cubs stood on their back legs, putting their front paws on the counter to see what he was doing. Their tails wagged slightly, another sign they were feeling better. Jinwoo thought quickly. What would small predator cubs like? They probably ate meat, but he didn't want to give them anything raw. That felt wrong, like he was treating them like animals instead of people. Then he had an idea. He pulled out rice cakes, the chewy kind used in tteokbokki. He grabbed vegetables and fish cakes. He heated up his special sauce, the one with gochugaru pepper flakes and gochujang paste. But he made it less spicy, better for children. He worked quickly, his hands moving with practiced skill. The cubs watched his every movement, their eyes tracking the food. Within minutes, Jinwoo had 3 bowls ready. Each bowl had soft rice cakes in red sauce, fish cakes, and vegetables. It smelled delicious, spicy, and sweet at the same time. He placed the bowls on the counter. "Try this," he said. "It's called tteokbokki. It's a little spicy, but not too much." He gave them each a fork. The cubs looked at the forks like they were strange objects, but they figured it out quickly. They speared rice cakes and brought them to their mouths. Jinwoo held his breath, waiting. The cubs chewed slowly. Their eyes went wide. Then, all at once, they started eating faster. They made happy sounds while they ate, their tails wagging hard now. The smallest cub got sauce all over its face. Jinwoo laughed. "Good, yes?" The cubs nodded enthusiastically, too busy eating to speak. That was when the cafeteria door burst open. A massive Velkari adult rushed in, followed by 2 security guards. The adult was nearly 8 feet tall, with dark fur and eyes that scanned the room frantically. "My cubs!" the adult roared. "Where are my—" The adult stopped. It stared at the scene before it. 3 cubs sat at the counter, eating happily. A human stood behind the counter, smiling. The cubs had sauce on their faces and joy in their eyes. Jinwoo looked up at the adult Velkari and gave a respectful nod. "Hello. I think these 3 belong to you. They were hungry, so I made them lunch." The adult Velkari stood frozen, unable to process what it was seeing. Its cubs, eating food, made by a human, a prey species, and they looked happy. The smallest cub looked up and saw the adult. "Guardian Theron," it chirped. "The human made us food. It's so good. Try some." Guardian Theron stared at Jinwoo. Jinwoo stared back calmly, still smiling. Something was different here. Something the galaxy had never seen before. A human who didn't run from predators. A human who fed their cubs instead. Guardian Theron stood in the doorway of the cafeteria, completely still. The two human security guards behind him looked just as confused. Nobody knew what to do. The three cubs continued eating their tteokbokki, making happy sounds. They didn't notice the tension in the room. They were too busy enjoying their food. Jinwoo kept his calm smile. He had handled difficult situations before. Once, a Quilvan trader had accused him of poisoning their food because it tasted too good. Another time, a Haxion diplomat had demanded he cook food that was literally on fire. Jinwoo had handled both situations with patience and kindness. This was no different. "Please, come in," Jinwoo said to Guardian Theron. "Would you like to try some food too?" "I have plenty." Theron's ears flicked back and forth. This was a sign of confusion in Velkari body language. The security guards tensed, hands moving toward their stun weapons. "Stand down," Theron said to the guards. The commander's voice was deep and rumbling. "The human has not harmed the cubs." The guards looked relieved. They stepped back but stayed alert. Theron walked slowly into the cafeteria. Each step was careful and measured. The Guardian was a trained warrior, a commander in the Velkari defense fleet. Theron had fought in battles across 3 star systems. Theron had faced down pirates and criminals. But this situation was completely new. A prey species, feeding cubs. The cubs were happy. It made no sense. Theron approached the counter. The Guardian stood tall, looking down at Jinwoo. Jinwoo was not a small man by human standards, but he barely reached Theron's shoulder. "Explain," Theron said simply. Jinwoo gestured to the cubs. "They came in about 10 minutes ago. They looked lost and scared. I gave them some candy first to help them feel safe. Then I made them lunch. That's all." "That is all?" Theron repeated. The translator made the Guardian's voice sound skeptical. "You saw 3 Velkari cubs alone, and your first thought was to feed them?" Jinwoo nodded. "Of course. They were children. They were scared and hungry. What else would I do?" The smallest cub, now finished with its bowl, tugged on Theron's arm. "Guardian, it was so good. The human was nice, not scary at all." Theron looked down at the cub, then back at Jinwoo. The Guardian's eyes were yellow with dark slits, the eyes of a hunter. But in those eyes, Jinwoo could see confusion and something else. Curiosity, maybe. "You were not afraid?" Theron asked. Jinwoo shrugged. "Should I have been? They're just kids." "We are Velkari," Theron said slowly, as if explaining something obvious. "We are predators. Humans are prey species. This is known throughout the galaxy." "Sure," Jinwoo agreed, "but these 3 are children. And in my kitchen, everyone is just hungry people who need food." The cub with the notched ear spoke up. "Can we come back tomorrow? Please, Guardian Theron. The food here is better than ship rations." The third cub nodded enthusiastically. "So much better. And the human let us watch him cook. It was amazing." Theron was silent for a long moment. The Guardian looked at the 3 happy cubs, at their sauce-covered faces and wagging tails. Then Theron looked at Jinwoo, studying the human carefully. "You understand that by feeding them, you may have made them expect kindness from all humans," Theron said. "This could be dangerous for them." Jinwoo considered this. "Or maybe it teaches them that humans can be kind, that we don't have to be afraid of each other." Theron's ears flicked again. "You speak of things that go against nature." "Nature changes," Jinwoo said simply. "We're all out here in space together. We can choose to be afraid or we can choose to be neighbors." One of the security guards, a young human woman named Minji, spoke up. "Sir, if I may, Chef Jinwoo has been feeding aliens for 3 years. He's never had a problem. Everyone loves his food." The other guard, an older man named Doyon, nodded. "It's true. We've had 40 different species come through here. Chef Jinwoo treats them all the same, with respect and good food." Theron looked at the guards, then back at Jinwoo. The Guardian was processing this information, trying to fit it into what was known about humans. Humans were supposed to be scared. They were soft, weak, prey. They ran from predators. But this human had seen 3 Velkari cubs and thought only of feeding them. "I wish to speak with you privately," Theron said to Jinwoo, "after I return the cubs to their families." Jinwoo nodded. "Of course. Take your time." Theron gathered the 3 cubs. They protested, wanting to stay longer, but the Guardian was firm. As they walked toward the door, the smallest cub turned back and waved at Jinwoo. "Thank you for the food, human Jinwoo," the cub called out. Jinwoo waved back, smiling. "Come back any time." After they left, the cafeteria was silent. Minji and Doyoon both let out long breaths. "Chef, that was insane," Minji said. "Do you know how dangerous that could have been?" Jinwoo started cleaning the bowls. "They were just scared kids." "They were Velkari cubs," Doyoon said. "Their claws could have torn through your apron like paper." "But they didn't," Jinwoo pointed out. "Because they didn't want to hurt me. They just wanted food and kindness." Minji shook her head, but she was smiling. "You're either the bravest human on this station or the craziest." "Maybe both," Jinwoo said with a laugh. An hour later, Guardian Theron returned, this time alone. The Guardian had to duck to fit through the doorway. Jinwoo was preparing dinner service, chopping vegetables. He looked up when Theron entered. "Welcome back," Jinwoo said. "Would you like some tea? I have a nice barley tea, very refreshing." Theron sat at one of the larger chairs, designed for bigger alien species. The chair creaked under the Guardian's weight. "Tea would be acceptable," Theron said. Jinwoo poured 2 cups of barley tea and brought them to the table. He sat across from Theron. For a moment, they just drank tea in silence. "The cubs' parents wish to thank you," Theron said finally. "They were missing for 2 hours. We searched everywhere. We feared the worst." "I'm glad they're safe," Jinwoo said. "They told their parents about your food," Theron continued, "about how kind you were, about how you made them feel safe." The Guardian paused. "This is unusual." "Kindness?" Jinwoo asked. "Kindness from prey to predator," Theron clarified. "In nature, prey species fear predators. They run. They hide. They do not feed predator cubs their own food." Jinwoo took a sip of his tea. "Guardian Theron, can I ask you something?" "You may." "Do you see me as food?" Jinwoo asked directly. Theron was quiet for a moment. "No, you are a person, a sentient being." "Then we're not really prey and predator, are we?" Jinwoo said. "We're just people from different worlds, trying to live together in space." Theron's ears perked up. This was clearly a new thought for the Guardian. "The cubs cannot stop talking about your food," Theron said. "They want to come back. Their parents are curious now, too. They want to know what kind of human feeds Velkari cubs without fear." "Any human would have done the same," Jinwoo said. "No," Theron said firmly. "They would not. I have seen humans on this station. They avoid us. They take different corridors when they see Velkari coming. They are polite, but distant. You are different." Jinwoo shrugged. "I'm just a cook. I feed people. That's what I do." Theron leaned forward. "I wish to understand your food. The cubs said it was spicy and sweet and unlike anything they had tasted before. They said watching you cook was like watching art." "It's traditional Korean food," Jinwoo explained. "From Earth, from my culture. I modified it a little for the cubs, made it less spicy." "Korean," Theron repeated, testing the word. "I wish to learn more about this, about your food, about your cooking." Jinwoo felt excitement rising in his chest. "Really? You want to learn about human food?" "Yes," Theron said. "I am responsible for many cubs on this station. Our families are stationed here for diplomatic work. The cubs eat rations from ships. It is nutritious but not enjoyable. If your food is safe for Velkari cubs, And they enjoy it. I wish to know more. I'd be happy to teach you, Jinwoo said. But I'll need to understand what Velkari can and cannot eat. Do you have any dietary restrictions? Theron pulled out a data pad. I have our complete nutritional requirements and restrictions. For the next hour, Jinwoo and Theron sat together, going over Velkari biology and dietary needs. Jinwoo took notes, his mind already racing with ideas. What human foods would work for Velkari? What flavors would they enjoy? How could he adapt his recipes? By the time Theron left, they had planned a meeting for the next day. Jinwoo would prepare several small dishes for Theron to try. They would test different flavors and ingredients. As Theron stood to leave, the Guardian paused at the door. Human Jinwoo, Theron said, you have done something today that I did not think possible. You made 3 frightened cubs feel safe. You fed them without hesitation. You showed them kindness. It was nothing, Jinwoo said modestly. No, Theron said firmly. It was everything. Those cubs will remember this day for the rest of their lives. They will remember the human who was not afraid, who saw them as children, not monsters. After Theron left, Jinwoo stood in his quiet cafeteria. He looked around at the empty tables and thought about what had happened. Word would spread. It always did on a space station. By tomorrow, everyone would know about the human chef who fed Velkari cubs. Some would think he was brave. Some would think he was foolish. But Jinwoo didn't care about that. He cared about 3 scared cubs who had walked into his cafeteria hungry and left with full bellies and happy hearts. That was enough. 2 weeks had passed since the cubs first visited Jinwoo's cafeteria. Those 2 weeks had changed everything. Jinwoo stood in his kitchen before dawn, preparing for what would be the busiest day of his life. Today was the official launch of the Mini Terror menu. The name had been the Cubs' idea. They thought it sounded exciting and fun. The menu had 12 items, each one carefully designed for young Velkari. Jinwoo had spent hours with Guardian Theron, learning about Velkari nutrition and taste preferences. He had tested every dish multiple times. The cubs had been enthusiastic taste testers. Now, the menu was ready. And apparently, so was half the station. Jinwoo's assistant, a young woman named Sora, arrived early. She looked at the crowd already gathering outside, and her eyes went wide. Chef Jinwoo, she said, there must be 50 people out there already, and the cafeteria doesn't open for another hour. Jinwoo looked through the window. Sora was right. There were humans, Velkari families, Quilvan traders, and species he didn't even recognize. All waiting. Well, Jinwoo said with a smile, I guess we should start cooking. Guardian Theron had helped spread the word about the menu. The Guardian had sent messages to every Velkari family on the station. The cubs themselves had told everyone they met about the amazing human food. Even the station commander, a stern woman named Hana, had expressed interest. The menu items had names that made the cubs laugh. There was roaring ramyun, spicy noodles in rich broth with soft-boiled eggs. There was Predator's bibimbap, a rice bowl with vegetables and meat that sizzled on a hot stone. There was Hunter's hatak, sweet pancakes filled with honey and nuts. There was fierce fried rice, warrior's wontons, and mighty mandu dumplings. Each dish was adapted for Velkari tastes, a little more protein, slightly different spice levels, but all made with the same care and skill that Jinwoo put into all his cooking. When the cafeteria opened, the crowd rushed in. It was controlled chaos. Families found tables. Cubs bounced excitedly in their seats. Parents tried to calm them down. Jinwoo had prepared for this. He had ordered extra ingredients. He had recruited 2 more kitchen helpers, both humans who were excited to be part of something new. Sora managed the front counter, taking orders with a bright smile. The first order was from a Velkari family, 2 parents and 3 cubs, including the small cub who had first trusted Jinwoo. "Human Jinwoo!" the small cub called out, waving enthusiastically. "We came first! We wanted to be first!" Jinwoo waved back. "Welcome! What would you like to try?" The family ordered one of everything. They wanted to taste the entire menu. Jinwoo and his team worked quickly. The kitchen was hot and filled with delicious smells. Noodles boiled, rice sizzled, dumplings steamed, pancakes cooked until golden brown. Within minutes, the first dishes went out. Jinwoo watched as the Velkari family took their first bites. The cubs' eyes lit up. They made those happy chirping sounds. The parents tried the food more carefully, testing each flavor. Then their ears perked up. They looked at each other in surprise. One of the parents stood and walked to the counter. "Chef Jinwoo, this is remarkable. The flavors are complex. The textures are perfect. And it satisfies in a way our rations never do." "Thank you," Jinwoo said, bowing slightly. "I'm glad you enjoy it." "We will be back tomorrow," the parent said firmly, "and we will bring friends." More orders came in. Human families curious about the menu. They could order regular items or try the Velkari-adapted dishes. Many humans were brave enough to try the Velkari versions. A human child, maybe 8 years old, tried the roaring ram yun. His eyes watered from the spice, but he kept eating, determined to finish. "It's so spicy," the child said to his mother. "But it's so good." At a corner table, Guardian Theron sat with a group of other Velkari adults. They were all trying different dishes, discussing each one seriously. These were leaders in the Velkari community, important people who made decisions. Jinwoo watched nervously. If these adults didn't approve, the whole menu could fail. After an hour, Theron approached the counter. The Guardian's face was unreadable. "Chef Jinwoo," Theron said formally, "we have reached a decision." Jinwoo held his breath. "This menu is acceptable," Theron continued. Then the Guardian's stern face broke into something that might have been a smile. "More than acceptable. It is exceptional. You have done something no one thought possible. You have created food that honors both human and Velkari traditions." Jinwoo felt relief wash over him. "Thank you, Guardian Theron. That means everything to me." "There is more," Theron said. "The adults at that table include representatives from 3 other stations. They wish to know if you would be willing to share your recipes, to teach other chefs how to make this food." Jinwoo's eyes widened. "You want to spread the menu to other stations?" "Yes," Theron said. "There are Velkari families across the galaxy. Many have cubs who eat only rations. If they could have food like this, food that brings joy and not just nutrition, it would change many lives." "I would be honored," Jinwoo said. "I'll share everything I know." As the day went on, the cafeteria stayed packed. There was a brief lull around mid-afternoon, and Jinwoo used that time to prepare for the dinner rush. Sora came into the kitchen, looking exhausted but happy. "Chef, we've served over 200 meals today. That's more than we usually serve in a week." Jinwoo wiped sweat from his forehead. "And we still have dinner service to go." "Are you okay?" Sora asked. "Do you need a break?" "I'm fine," Jinwoo said. "This is what I love to do." A new customer entered the cafeteria. This one was unusual. It was a Velkari elder, very old, with gray fur and wise eyes. The elder moved slowly, using a walking stick. Sora rushed to help the elder to a table. "Please, sit here. What would you like to order?" The elder looked at the menu for a long time. Finally, the elder pointed to the Predator's bibimbap. "This one," the elder said. "I wish to try this one." Jinwoo prepared the dish himself. He wanted it to be perfect. He arranged the vegetables in a beautiful pattern. He placed the egg on top, just right. He heated the stone bowl until it was sizzling hot. He brought the dish to the elder's table personally. Please, enjoy, Jinwoo said. The elder looked at the dish for a long moment. Then the elder mixed everything together, the traditional way to eat bibimbap. The elder took a small bite. Jinwoo waited. The elder chewed slowly, thinking. Then the elder took another bite. And another. After several minutes, the elder set down the spoon and looked at Jinwoo. Young human, the elder said. I am 140 years old. I have eaten food from 20 different worlds. I have tasted dishes prepared by the finest cooks in the galaxy. Jinwoo waited nervously. This, the elder continued, is the first time I have eaten food from a prey species that made me feel like a welcomed guest instead of a feared predator. You have not just cooked food, you have cooked kindness into every bite. Jinwoo felt his eyes getting wet. He bowed deeply. Thank you, elder. That is the greatest compliment I could receive. The elder stood slowly. I will send my grandchildren here. They need to learn what you have taught me today. That kindness is stronger than fear. That sharing food is sharing hearts. By the end of the day, Jinwoo was exhausted. His feet hurt, his back ached, but his heart was full. They had served over 300 meals. They had run out of some ingredients. They had made new friends. They had changed minds. As Jinwoo cleaned the kitchen, Sora sat at the counter counting the day's receipts. Chef, she called out, do you realize what happened today? We served a lot of food, Jinwoo said tiredly. No, Sora said. Well, yes, but more than that. Today, humans and Velkari sat at the same tables. They shared food. They talked and laughed together. Children of both species played together in the seating area. Jinwoo hadn't noticed, but Sora was right. Throughout the day, the cafeteria had become something more than a place to eat. It had become a place where two species that were supposed to be enemies became friends. That's nice, Jinwoo said softly. It's more than nice, Sora said. It's historic. You did this, with just food and kindness. Jinwoo shook his head. The food did it. Good food brings people together. It always has, across all cultures and all worlds. Guardian Theron entered just as they were closing. The Guardian looked tired, too. Chef Jinwoo, Theron said, I wanted to inform you. Tomorrow the station commander wants to meet with you. She wishes to discuss expanding your cafeteria. Expanding? Jinwoo asked. Yes, there is demand now, more than you can handle alone. The commander wants to give you more space, more resources. She sees what is happening here. Humans and Velkari working together, eating together, becoming friends. Theron paused, then continued more softly. You have done something I thought impossible. You have shown that prey and predator are just words, that beneath them we are all just people who need food, kindness, and connection. I just cook, Jinwoo said. No, Theron said firmly. You do much more than that. You are building bridges, one meal at a time. That night, Jinwoo walked back to his quarters. He was too tired to cook dinner for himself, so he just ate some leftover rice. As he lay in bed, he thought about the day. About the cubs' happy faces, about the elders' kind words, about families of different species sitting together, sharing food and stories. He thought about his grandmother back on Earth. She had taught him to cook when he was young. She always said that the secret ingredient in any dish was love. I think I understand now, grandmother, Jinwoo whispered to the empty room. Food is just food. But food made with love becomes something more. It becomes a gift. It becomes a bridge. Tomorrow would be another busy day. More customers would come. More food would be cooked. More bridges would be built. But tonight, Jinwoo slept peacefully, knowing he had done something good. 3 months had passed since the mini terror menu launched. Station Hanseong was a different place now. Jinwoo's expanded cafeteria took up 3 times the original space. The station commander had approved the expansion immediately. Now there were 2 dining rooms, a larger kitchen, and even a small teaching area where Jinwoo gave cooking classes. But the biggest change wasn't the physical space. It was the people. Every day, Velkari and human children played together in the cafeteria's waiting area. Parents of both species chatted while their cubs and kids ate together. What had once seemed impossible was now normal. However, not everyone was happy about this change. One morning, a transport ship arrived at the station. It carried a delegation of traditional Velkari leaders from the homeworld. They had come to see what was happening on Station Hanseong. They had heard disturbing reports about cubs eating prey species food. Jinwoo was in the kitchen preparing lunch when Guardian Theron entered with 5 other Velkari adults. These were not the friendly station residents. These Velkari were stiff and formal. Their fur was decorated with traditional markings. Their clothes were elaborate and ceremonial. "Chef Jinwoo," Theron said quietly, "these are council members from our homeworld. They wish to observe your cafeteria." Jinwoo wiped his hands on his apron and bowed respectfully. "Welcome to my cafeteria. Please, sit anywhere you like." The 5 council members sat at a table in the corner. They did not order food. They simply watched. Jinwoo could feel their disapproving stares. But he continued working. He had customers to feed. A familiar group of cubs bounced into the cafeteria. It was the 3 cubs from that first day, along with 2 new friends. They ran to the counter, tails wagging. "Chef Jinwoo," the small cub called out, "we want the mighty mandu today, with extra sauce." "Coming right up," Jinwoo said with a smile. He prepared 5 orders of dumplings, making sure each one was perfect. The cubs took their food to a table near the window. They were joined by 2 human children, siblings who had become friends with the Velkari cubs. The 8 children sat together sharing food and laughing. A Velkari cub offered a dumpling to a human child. The human child offered some fruit in return. They were just kids being kids. One of the council members stood abruptly. This Velkari was tall and imposing, with silver markings on dark fur. The name badge identified this as Council Member Darok. Darok approached Jinwoo's counter. "Human, we must speak." Jinwoo nodded. "Of course. Would you like to speak here or somewhere private?" "Here is sufficient," Darok said coldly. "I wish others to hear what I say." The cafeteria grew quiet. Everyone could sense tension. "You have corrupted our young," Darok said bluntly. "You have made them weak. They prefer your soft prey food over the traditional meals of our people. They spend time with human children. They have forgotten what it means to be Velkari." Jinwoo listened carefully. He did not interrupt. "Our cubs should be learning hunting traditions," Darok continued. "They should be learning strength and pride. Instead, they learn to eat rice cakes and noodles. They learn to be soft." The small cub, hearing this, looked upset. The cub's ears drooped. Jinwoo took a deep breath. He chose his words carefully. "Council Member Darok," Jinwoo said respectfully, "I have not corrupted anyone. I have only offered food. The cubs choose to eat it because they enjoy it. Is that wrong?" "Yes," Darok said sharply. "It weakens them. It makes them forget their nature." "Does it?" Jinwoo asked. "Or does it teach them something new?" "What could a prey species teach a predator?" Darok demanded. Before Jinwoo could answer, Guardian Theron stood. The Guardian walked to stand beside Jinwoo. "Council member," Theron said firmly, "perhaps you should observe more before making judgments." "I have observed enough," Darok said. "I see weak cubs eating weak food." At that moment, something unexpected happened. The small cub stood up. The cub walked over to the council member's table, shoulders straight and head high. "Council Member Darok," the small cub said in a clear voice. "You are wrong." Everyone gasped. Cubs did not speak to council members this way. "What did you say?" Darok asked, voice dangerous. but the small cub did not back down. You said we are weak, but we are not weak. Chef Jinwoo's food makes us strong. It gives us energy to learn and play, and more than that, it teaches us something important. And what is that? Darok asked coldly. It teaches us that being strong doesn't mean being feared, the cub said. It means being brave enough to try new things, brave enough to make friends with people who are different, brave enough to change. The cub looked at Jinwoo. Chef Jinwoo was brave. He saw 3 scared cubs, and he didn't run away. He gave us food and kindness. That's real strength. The cafeteria was completely silent. Even Darok seemed surprised. Another cub stood up. It was the one with the notched ear. I agree. My parents are warriors. They are strong and brave. But they also eat Chef Jinwoo's food now. They say it reminds them that being a warrior doesn't mean being cruel. A third cub spoke. The galaxy is changing. We don't need to hunt anymore. We have technology and trade, but we still need friends. We still need kindness. Chef Jinwoo's cafeteria teaches us how to be good neighbors. Darok looked at the cubs with an unreadable expression. Then the council member looked at the other children in the cafeteria. Human and Velkari, sitting together, sharing food and friendship. One of the other council members, an older female with gray streaks in her fur, stood. She approached the cubs. Little ones, she said gently, you speak with wisdom beyond your years, but tell me, do you still learn your history, your traditions? Yes, elder council member, the small cub said. Guardian Theron teaches us every day. We learn about our homeworld. We learn about the great hunts of old. We learn about our ancestors. But now we also learn about other cultures, the notched ear cub added. We learn about humans, and Quilven and Haxion. We learn that the galaxy is big and full of different people. The elder female council member nodded slowly. She looked at Jinwoo. Human chef, may I try your food? Darok looked shocked. Council member Reyna, you cannot be serious. I am very serious, Reyna said. These cubs speak with passion and intelligence. They have not forgotten their heritage. They have expanded it. I wish to understand what has inspired this change in them. Jinwoo bowed. I would be honored to cook for you, elder council member. What would you like to try? Surprise me, Reyna said. Show me what has captivated our young. Jinwoo went to his kitchen. He thought carefully about what to prepare. This was important. This meal could change everything. He decided to make something that honored both cultures. He prepared a traditional Velkari protein, a type of meat that Theron had introduced him to. But he cooked it with Korean techniques. He marinated it in gochujang and soy sauce. He grilled it until it was perfectly tender. He served it over rice with kimchi and vegetables. He brought the dish to Reyna's table himself. This is a fusion dish, Jinwoo explained. It uses traditional Velkari ingredients but prepared with my cultural techniques. It represents what I believe in. Taking the best from both worlds and creating something new. Reyna looked at the dish. She smelled it carefully. Then she took a bite. The elder council member chewed slowly, thinking. She took another bite, and another. Finally, she set down her utensils. This is extraordinary, Reyna said. The flavors are bold and complex. The meat is tender. But more than that, I can taste the respect in every bite. You have not tried to erase our culture. You have honored it while sharing your own. She looked at Darok. This is not corruption. This is evolution. The cubs are not forgetting their heritage. They are building on it. Darok sat down heavily. The council member looked troubled, but less angry. Perhaps, Darok said quietly, I judged too quickly. Another human entered the cafeteria. She was young, probably in her mid-20s, with bright eyes and a chef's uniform. This was Yuna, a chef from another station who had come to learn from Jinwoo. Chef Jinwoo, Yuna said excitedly. I have news. 3 more stations have approved mini-terror menu cafeterias. They want us to come teach their chefs. Jinwoo smiled. That's wonderful news. Yuna noticed the Velkari council members. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You did not interrupt, Reina said. In fact, your timing is perfect. Tell me, young human chef, why do you wish to learn to cook for Velkari? Yuna thought for a moment. Because food is the universal language. Everyone needs to eat. And when we share meals, we share parts of ourselves. We learn about each other. We become friends. And you are not afraid? Darok asked. You are prey. We are predators. Yuna laughed. Council member, I grew up on Station Kepler. I've been around different species my whole life. I learned early that predator and prey are just biology terms. They don't define who we are as people. She gestured to the cafeteria. Look around. Do you see fear here? Or do you see community? Darok did look around. The council member saw cubs and children playing together, parents of different species chatting, humans and Velkari working side by side in the kitchen. I see, Darok said slowly, something I did not expect to see. Over the next few hours, the council members stayed in the cafeteria. They watched and listened. They tried different foods. They spoke with parents and cubs. By evening, even Darok's stern expression had softened. As the council members prepared to leave, Reina approached Jinwoo one last time. Chef Jinwoo, she said, you have done something remarkable here. You have shown that change does not mean loss, that growth does not mean forgetting roots. You have built a bridge between our peoples. I just cook food, Jinwoo said modestly. No, Reina said firmly. You cook connection. You cook understanding. You cook hope. She looked at the cubs who were saying goodbye to their human friends. Those cubs will grow up different from their parents, Reina said. They will grow up knowing that humans are friends, not food. They will teach their own cubs the same lesson. You have changed the future. After the council members left, Jinwoo sat down for the first time that day. He was exhausted. Theron sat beside him. You handled that well. I was terrified, Jinwoo admitted. But you stayed calm and kind, Theron said. Even when challenged, you responded with respect. That is true strength. The small cub came over, looking worried. Chef Jinwoo, are you okay? Jinwoo smiled and ruffled the cub's fur. I'm fine, little one. Thank you for standing up for me today. That was very brave. You taught me to be brave, the cub said simply. You were brave first. That night, as Jinwoo closed the cafeteria, he reflected on the day. Change was hard. It scared people, but it was also necessary. The galaxy was big. There were hundreds of species, thousands of cultures. They could choose to stay separate, defined by old categories of predator and prey, or they could choose to be brave, to try new things, to build connections. One meal at a time, Jinwoo was choosing the second path, and others were joining him. 1 year had passed since 3 scared cubs wandered into Jinwoo's cafeteria. Station Hanshong was now famous across the galaxy. The cafeteria had become something more than just a place to eat. It was a symbol, a proof that different species could not just coexist, but truly become friends. Jinwoo stood in his kitchen, training 3 new chefs. One was human, one was Velkari, and one was from a species called Quilvan. They worked side by side, learning techniques from each other's cultures. The Velkari chef, a young adult named Kiran, was particularly talented. Kiran had grown up on the station, one of the first cubs to eat Jinwoo's food. Now Kiran was learning to cook it. Chef Jinwoo, Kiran said, carefully stirring a pot of broth. Is this the right color? Jinwoo looked at the pot. Perfect. You're a natural at this. Kiran's ears perked up with pride. When I was a cub, I thought cooking was just for making fuel for the body. But you taught me it's about making fuel for the heart, too. The human chef, a cheerful young man named Teo, laughed. That's poetic, Kieran, but also true. Food does feed the heart. The Quilvan chef, whose name translated to whisper, added their own thoughts in their musical language. The translator device on their collar converted it to standard speech. In my culture, we say that a chef is a healer. They cure loneliness with shared meals. Jinwoo smiled at his students. This was his favorite part of the job now. Not just cooking, but teaching, passing on what he knew. The cafeteria was busier than ever. There were now 12 tables dedicated to what they called unity dining. These tables were reserved for mixed groups. You couldn't sit there unless your party included at least 2 different species. The idea had come from the Cubs. They wanted to encourage more mixing, more friendship between different people. Today was special. Today, Station Hanseong was hosting a galactic food summit. Chefs from 40 different stations were coming to learn about the mini-terror menu concept. Representatives from a dozen species would be there. Jinwoo had been preparing for weeks. He had planned demonstrations, tasting sessions, and workshops, but he was still nervous. Guardian Theron entered the kitchen through the back door. The Guardian had become Jinwoo's closest friend over the past year. They met for tea every evening, discussing food, culture, and philosophy. Jinwoo, Theron said. The Guardian had stopped using his title months ago. They were friends now, not just chef and customer. The delegates are beginning to arrive. Are you ready? As ready as I'll ever be, Jinwoo said. He took off his apron and put on a clean one. How do I look? Like a chef who is about to change the galaxy, Theron said, with what might have been a smile. They walked together to the main dining hall. It had been transformed for the summit. Cooking stations were set up around the room. Display screens showed recipes and techniques. Tables were arranged for the tasting sessions. Delegates were already gathering. Jinwoo recognized some faces. There was Chef Yuna, who now ran her own successful fusion cafeteria on Station Nova. There was Elder Council member Reina, who had become one of Jinwoo's biggest supporters. There were chefs from Earth, from the Velkari homeworld, from colonies Jinwoo had never even heard of. Station Commander Hana stepped onto a small stage. She was a serious woman who rarely smiled, but today even she looked pleased. Welcome, Commander Hana said, her voice carrying through the hall. 1 year ago, something unprecedented happened on this station. A human chef fed 3 Velkari cubs. That simple act of kindness has grown into a movement that spans the galaxy. She gestured to Jinwoo. Chef Jinwoo, please come up. Jinwoo walked to the stage, feeling dozens of eyes on him. He took a deep breath. Thank you all for coming, Jinwoo said. I want to start by saying that I'm not special. I'm just a cook who saw hungry children and did what any decent person would do. I fed them. He looked around the room. But what happened after that was special. Those cubs taught me something. They taught me that when we let go of fear, when we choose kindness over caution, amazing things can happen. Jinwoo pulled up images on the screen behind him, pictures of the cafeteria over the past year, cubs and human children playing together, families of different species sharing meals, chefs from different worlds working side by side. This is what food can do, Jinwoo said. Food is more than nutrition. It's communication. It's culture. It's love made tangible. When we share food, we share ourselves. He clicked to another image. It showed the small cub from that first day, now bigger and more confident, helping to serve food in the cafeteria. These cubs are growing up in a different world than their parents knew, Jinwoo said. They're growing up knowing that different doesn't mean dangerous. That predator and prey are old words that don't matter anymore. What matters is that we're all people, trying to live good lives in this big galaxy. The room was silent, listening. So today, I want to teach you what I've learned, Jinwoo continued. Not just recipes, though we'll share those too, but the philosophy behind the food, how to cook with respect for other cultures, how to adapt without appropriating, how to create spaces where everyone feels welcome. He smiled. And most importantly, how to make food that brings people together instead of keeping them apart. The crowd applauded. It started slowly, then grew louder. Soon everyone was clapping, including the Valkyrie, who tapped their claws on the tables in their traditional show of approval. The rest of the day was a whirlwind. Jinwoo and his team demonstrated cooking techniques. They explained the theory behind the mini-terror menu. They talked about nutrition, about cultural sensitivity, about creating inclusive spaces. During the lunch break, something wonderful happened. The delegates didn't separate by species. Instead, they mingled freely. Valkyrie chefs discussed techniques with human chefs. Quilvan traders shared stories with station workers. Everyone tried everyone else's food. Jinwoo watched from the side, feeling overwhelmed with emotion. This was what he had hoped for. This was the dream. A small tug on his sleeve made him look down. It was the small cub, now not so small anymore. The cub had grown significantly over the past year. "Chef Jinwoo," the cub said. "Thank you." "For what?" Jinwoo asked. "For everything," the cub said. "For not being scared that first day. For making me feel safe. For teaching me that the galaxy is full of friends I haven't met yet." Jinwoo knelt down to the cub's level. "You don't need to thank me. You taught me just as much as I taught you." "Really?" the cub asked. "Really," Jinwoo confirmed. "You taught me that bravery isn't about not being scared. It's about being scared and doing the kind thing anyway." The cub hugged him. It was a gentle hug, careful of claws. Jinwoo hugged back. That evening, after all the delegates had left, Jinwoo sat with Theron in the quiet cafeteria. They drank barley tea and watched the sunset through the station windows. "You did well today," Theron said. "We did well," Jinwoo corrected. "None of this would have happened without you. You trusted me when others didn't." "I trusted the cubs," Theron said. "They saw something in you that I was too cautious to see at first. They saw past the categories of predator and prey. They just saw a kind person." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. "Theron," Jinwoo said eventually, "do you think this will last? This movement we've started?" Theron considered the question. "Change is always fragile at first. It takes time to take root. But yes, I think it will last. Because you've shown people something they needed to see, that we don't have to be defined by old fears and old categories." "I just cooked food," Jinwoo said. "You built bridges," Theron corrected gently. "You created safe spaces. You showed everyone that kindness is stronger than fear." The Guardian looked at Jinwoo. "In Valkyrie culture, we have a word. Therek. It means one who changes the path. One who sees a new way and has the courage to walk it even when others are afraid." "That's a nice word," Jinwoo said. "You are Therek," Theron said. "You changed the path, and now others walk it with you." Months continued to pass. The mini-terror menu spread to 15 stations, then 20, then 50. Chefs across the galaxy adapted the concept to their local species. A Quilvan chef created a fusion menu for their predator neighbors. A Haxion station developed cultural exchange programs centered around shared meals. The 3 original cubs grew into young adults. They all chose different paths. The small cub became a diplomat, working to improve relations between species. The notched ear cub became a chef, opening their own fusion restaurant. The third cub became a teacher, educating young Valkyrie about other cultures. But they all stayed in touch with Jinwoo. They visited the cafeteria regularly. It was their special place, where their lives had changed. Jinwoo eventually wrote a cookbook. It was called Cooking Bridges, Food for a United Galaxy. It became a bestseller across dozens of worlds. But for Jinwoo, the book wasn't about fame or money. It was about sharing what he had learned, about helping others create their own spaces of unity and kindness. Years later, Jinwoo stood in his cafeteria, now an older man with gray in his hair. The cafeteria had expanded again. There were now cooking schools attached to it. Young chefs from every species came to learn. A group of very young Velkari cubs entered with their parents. These cubs had never known a galaxy where humans and Velkari were enemies. For them, humans had always been friends. This was just normal. One of the cubs looked up at Jinwoo with wide, curious eyes. "Are you the famous Chef Jinwoo? The one from the stories?" Jinwoo smiled. "I'm just Jinwoo. Would you like some tteokbokki?" The cub's eyes lit up. "Yes, please." As Jinwoo prepared food for the new generation of cubs, he thought about how far they had all come. How one moment of choosing kindness over fear had rippled outward, changing lives and changing worlds. He thought about his grandmother, who had taught him that love was the secret ingredient in every dish. She had been right. Love, and the courage to share it. The galaxy was a big place. There were still problems, still conflicts, still misunderstandings, but there were also cafeterias on 50 stations where different species sat together and shared meals. There were children of different worlds who grew up as friends. There were bridges where once there had been walls. Jinwoo had learned something important over these years. You didn't need to do grand, impressive things to change the world. Sometimes the most powerful thing you could do was simple. See someone who is afraid and offer them kindness. See someone who is hungry and give them food. See someone who is different and choose friendship over fear. That evening, as Jinwoo closed his cafeteria, he looked around at the empty tables. Tomorrow they would be full again. Full of people from different worlds, different cultures, different species, all coming together over shared food and shared humanity. He turned off the lights and locked the door. As he walked home through the station corridors, he passed humans and Velkari walking together, talking and laughing. This was his legacy, not recipes or restaurants, but a galaxy that was a little bit kinder, a little bit braver, and a lot more connected. One meal at a time, he had helped change the future. And it had all started with 3 scared cubs and a bowl of tteokbokki.